It's all good. So, Bill, it's your turn.
Okay, this is a Righteous Brothers song that I just wrote up, and so I'm a little slow on it, but I'll do my best. Here we go. When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm is a golden sky and the sweet silver song of the Lord. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blown. Walk on, with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone. Walk on, with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone. Okay.
Thank you, Bill. Hope in your heart, always. Always hope in your heart. So, as we continue now, here we go with Barbara's Christ candle. And so, as we light the Christ candle, we acknowledge the presence and the power of the Christ that lives within each of us, that energy force. We are it, and it is us. And we are grateful, and so it is. And Bill will continue now with Surely the Presence and the Lord's Prayer.
Okay. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel his mighty power and his grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Surely the presence of the light is in this place. I can feel her mighty power and her grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the light is in this place. And the Lord's Prayer. Move this up. There we go. Our Father and Mother, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors, and leave us not in temptation, but deliver us from error. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever.
Wonderful, Bill, as usual. Yes, thank you. Bill has been with us this whole entire time of the pandemic doing music for us, and we really, really appreciate Bill for everything. So I would like to go ahead now and have you think about the things that we read at church, the invocation affirmation that tells us who we are. There is only one presence and one power active in my life, God, the good, omnipotent. There is only one presence and one power active in unity, Clear Lake Center, God, the good, omnipotent. There is only one presence and one power active in our world, God, the good, omnipotent. And our mission statement reflects the heart of our church. Unity Clear Lake Center is committed to loving all and empowering people to transform their lives through the practice of universal spiritual principles and the energy of God's love. The 5 basic ideas of unity is really the basic foundation of unity. Number 1, God is absolute good, everywhere present. 2, human beings have a spark of the divine spirit within them, the Christ consciousness within. Therefore, they are inherently good. Number 3, human beings create their experience by the activity of their thinking. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. Number 4, prayer is the process that affirms our connection with God mind and brings forth wisdom, healing, and everything good. And last, knowing and understanding universal laws, also called truth, are not enough. We must also live the truth that he or she knows. And next we have Bill with another song, and I'm going to remember to mute myself.
Okay. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh Lordy, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Hide it under a bush, oh no, I'm gonna let it shine. Hide it under a bush, oh no, I'm gonna let it shine. Hide it under a bush, oh no, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh Lord, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Don't you blow it out, I'm gonna let it shine. Don't you blow it out, I'm gonna let it shine. Don't you blow it out, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, oh Lordy, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. There you go.
I think that was for you, Dave, thinking about your upcoming talk. His title, Shed a Little Light. Oh, yeah. Well, in the meantime, I'm going to read to you the daily word for today for November the 13th. I use divine wisdom to find my way. Find my way to my light? Maybe. When I am pondering a perplexing question, I need to make an important choice. I reach beyond human reasoning to the limitless wisdom of divine mind, never further away than my next thought. After clarifying my question and considering my available options, I release the situation, focusing instead on the divine presence within. I affirm I am using divine wisdom to show me the way. In prayerful silence, peace envelops me. As I conclude my prayer time and resume my activities, I may experience a flash of insight or a more gradual understanding. However it happens, I trust my next steps will become clear to me. Confident in my divine guidance, I move forward with a calm assurance. And from Matthew 6:33, but strive first for the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. So I use divine wisdom to find my way. Let's say that. I use divine wisdom to find my way. And we will continue with Reverend Dave, who began speaking in 2008. 14 years ago, he became a regular.
Wow.
And he has over 100 teddy bears. I don't even want to ask you if you still have all your teddy bears, Dave. But in any case, his title, Shed a Little Light, we look forward to. All right, Dave, thank you. Mute.
Thanks, Barbara. Welcome, everybody, this morning. I love Bill singing that song, and from the background, my wife reminded me that some 60 years ago, she was teaching a third grade Sunday school class that song. And so, there's the circle. When I was young, I remember singing it also. So it's a song that, and there's nothing like a group of third graders going, hide it under a bushel? No! And they get a little carried away with the nose, and you have to slow them down and make sure they keep moving. It's great to gather together. As we move farther along, I'm always reminded about how connection works in the world. Last week, I had relatives visiting our house. Deb and Phil, who are on the cast this morning, visited, and we had a meal together, and it was wonderful. We went to the Leatherby's ice cream shop, and when they left, my sister came for a week. And at the end of the week, I realized it takes a lot of energy to spend time with relatives. But then I realized it takes a lot of energy to spend time with people. In this time, we do a lot of Zoom stuff, but I find more and more that as Zoom has mentally changed us and the light we shine, when we are by ourselves, we get caught up in this internal struggle between that divine that we are and that ego that we are. Each saying, the little shoulder, the devil and the angel, saying, you are the light. And the other side going, oh, sure you are. Sure you are. And the balance for me, because I can get pretty wiggy if I spend time just with myself, is other people. It's that connection, that centering we do. And we found out that just in spending the time in this last couple of weeks with relatives. I love the fact that the concept of light and it permeates the whole thing. They say go to the light. That's the thing that happens if you have a near-death experience. Years and years ago, we went to visit a friend who was going to have a knee operation. And we were in the lobby of the health center, and there was a long hallway to another section. And we were sitting in that section, and we watched a young man and a young woman in their white with stethoscopes who were the epitome of health. They just looked like they worked out all the time. It looks like they ran 100 miles all the time. And they walked down to where we were waiting in that waiting room, and they looked around at everybody in the room and said, is there anybody here that's going over to the light side? And all we could think of was, is it that easy? Is it that easy to step into the light? And it's not, because we have that duality. We're struggled. God says, you are perfect. You're made in my image. I mean, what a concept that is. And at the same time, we're strapped with this physical body. I believe it was Eleanor Roosevelt said it might be Mark Twain, said it's very interesting that when we get to the point where we have the wisdom that we know what to do, that we understand it all, we also get to the point of time when we have the body that won't do all of it, that won't do the things that we want to do. And in that duality is this shedding the little light. It'd be easy if we just go with the flow of it, because that's the easiest part. But it feels like a battlefield of struggle sometimes. My wife does a good job of reminding me about it. But it's that thing that we talked about this morning. There's only one power and presence active in my life, in the world, in the universe, God the good incarnate, who shines through me. That shining keeps us balanced and centered. And our job is to use all the tools to work with that. We got to keep our sanctuary, that place inside, lit up and adaptable. In doing that, in gathering in places like this, in doing prayer and doing meditation and doing things that spiritually feed us, we open to more clearness. Because in the end, we're living with a magical family. I mean, look in the eyes of all the people on this little light of mine. I'm going to let it shine. And the really cool part of the process is we don't need to take huge active steps to make it shine. It just shines away anyway. I mean, remember the number one thing for the daily word for the year, the one that's done the most? Can you guess what it is? It's let go, let God. It doesn't say grab a hold of God as he goes by. It says let go. Let God. My life is filled with metaphors and analogies. And when a good one comes along, I go, oh, that really works. And part of the process is this unfortunate thing for us as ministers. And you need to know this. Every time a minister is talking to you, they have written the sermon for themselves. It's our learning process. We take the things that we are working on and struggling with, and we write about them. So can you guess that one of my difficulties is allowing my light to just shine? I'm preaching to you about the things that are going on for me. But it's true for all of us. It is true for all of us. It seems like one of the things that is a blessing is that our age, and they always say age is not for wimps. In fact, you know, this is probably true for you too, also. Right now is the oldest I've ever been. I'll bet it's the same for you. And I look around and I find that these pearls of wisdom have come to the surface. One of them is that silence is golden. When I was in my 20s and somebody would say something to me, boy, did I have a lot to say about it right now. But I finally figured out that God's given us 2 ears and 1 mouth, and we're supposed to use them in that same ratio. And so oftentimes I'll hear something and I just let it sit, so that in the end I'm much quieter than I used to be. Mark Twain, and I love Mark Twain, said, better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak out and remove all doubt. As I would come to the realization that shining my light has familiar actions to it, it's part of the process I've talked to you about ever since I started talking, which is as we move along on our journey of life, we forget. We forget. Steve Martin, in his comedy routine years ago, used to say, he said, there are 3 little words that will make everything okay in our lives, always. He says, and the 3 little words is, oh, I forgot. Oh, I forgot bank robbery was against the law. I'm sorry. We are continually forgetting. We are continually forgetting. I don't know about Bill, but as a musician, I always, prior to an event, oftentimes wonder, well, I wonder if anybody's going to show up today. I wonder how it's going to work. And until I hit the first notes on the guitar and start moving along, you kind of wonder what's going to happen next. And these are that familiar flow for all of us. The fact that even though we are shining our lights just by being who we are, the ego side for us says, well, that's not enough. You got to do more. You got to do more. And I have this great part of me, and I think we all do. We all have a wonderful internal judge. And so we'll do something in life, and a part of us will go, well, how did that go? What did I do? I'll do my sermon, and afterwards I'll look at Rachel and go, how did I do? And sometimes she'll say things like, well, do you want a letter grade? But we do that. And in the flow of life, it is just the flow. Let go, let God. We're always on the path. A mistake is a learning opportunity. That's not something you could have told my father. And in all of it, this is all preaching to the choir. You've all known this. You've heard it before. That the first part of this is about slowing down. We're in a world that goes faster and faster and faster. And something happens, and immediately everybody in the entire world knows about it. And it's not just the fact that your friends know about it. It can happen anywhere at any time. There's a bit, and the thing about it is, as we move along and we go in this flow of light, there is a real difference between having that steady light of the divine that we are doing and getting caught up in the frantic, quick pace of a comet flying across the sky on its way to an explosion. There's a theory that seems to play out in rock and roll musics and musicians. And there have been an entire group of musicians who all died at the age of 27. Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Mama Cass, you can just go on and on. Jim Morrison. And the interesting part about it is those people were involved, if you stop to think about their lives, as a comet. There was not a stable flow of light from those people. There were huge explosions of fireworks. And in the slowdown, we unfortunately have this 2-year-old who says, when I go to bed, all the good stuff happens. And so we're the 8-year-old who wants to drive, the 14-year-old that wants to move out of the house, the 22-year-old that wants to play house. We always want to be farther along. One of the things I'm using a lot in my prayers nowadays is to be in full presence. To be in full presence. When we got married, we actually wrote a prayer for our wedding party. And the prayer said, may I open to being fully present to experience this to the highest depth available. And Rachel has shared with me, she doesn't think that she'd ever been so fully present as coming down the aisle, which, by the way, took her about 2 days. Coming down the aisle for the marriage ceremony. Secondly, it's that concept of self-care, and we know about that one. Self-care is so important. And how many times we've heard people say, if I'd known I was going to live this long, I probably would have taken better care of myself. I spent a lot of time on a tennis court diving on concrete, as my Aunt Phil can testify. I loved doing it, but my body reminds me. And we all have those places on our shoulders and backs and ankles. Self-care is about being there for ourselves. We ran a prayer chaplain program that worked with over 250 chaplains over a 10-year period. And when we got to the last couple of years, we ended up each year doing a theme, and it was the same theme. Because each of us can only be there for other people to the level we can be there for ourselves. We can only love others to the depth that we love ourselves. You must, I'll share with you that raises hackles in the back of my neck. Because we grew up in a society that didn't say, oh, I think it's really important that you love yourself. What do you want to share? From our household growing up, and many of us, it was kids should be seen, but not heard. That's the way it is. And as we grow up and do that self-care, part of the process again becomes that slowing down. All the training we've done as prayer chaplains is that when we pray out loud with someone, we are diving into this little light of mine. We are taking a breath and being fully present and just letting it be. And that's what shining the little light means. It's letting it be. I used to do a workshop that was about releasing feelings, and it was a very intense workshop. We had assistants that would work with the students. And the biggest difficulty in training the assistants was to train the assistants to let the people who are coming to take the class be where they are. If they came in crying, let them cry. If they came in excited, let them be excited. If they came in depressed, and yet we shine our own little light and then sometimes get a little carried away. If you want to see the results of that, sit in a circle of people and have someone break into tears.
Calling about your prescription order ready for pickup.
Larry, your prescription order is ready for pickup. Just imagine when somebody goes ahead and does.
Larry F. This is CVS Pharmacy calling about your prescription order for QUE that your pharmacist has filled.
Larry, are you there? Please
As
mute.
a reminder, your prescription order for QUE has been filled by your pharmacist and is available for pickup at 949 11th Street in the Willow Tree Plaza, Lakeport, California.
Larry.
8 days. Prescriptions not picked up in the next 8 days will be returned to the shelf.
And if someone who's a host,
regarding your prescription order, please call 707-262-0244.
and this is kind of a God
If you
thing.
already picked up your prescription,
Right?
please disregard this message. Thank
There
you
are
for
no
using
mistakes.
CPS Pharmacy.
There are no mistakes. Thank you for that notice. And so our prescription of life is to shine our light. There's someone that has filled our prescription, and our job is to pick it up. Are you leaving your prescription at the pharmacist too long? When you go to pick it up, do you think it belongs to someone else? It doesn't. It's at Lakeport. So make sure that when you're shining your light and you're prayed up, that you pick up your prescription, or you'll get a message like that. Because there are no accidents. It's just how it works. And it's really interesting because we're taught growing up to step back, right? Step back, step back. You know, if you get a little too big for your britches, you're likely to hear your parents go, you're a little full of yourself. And so we grow up with this feeling of shining our light, right? And we want to shine our light. So we do things that are who we are, fully who we are. We play music like Bill does. We do the things that we do. And then when we get out there and we're doing these things and we're shining our light so bright, people are going, oh my gosh, what a wonderful life. We're going, no. But we do it this way. We put our hand out and go, no, no, no. And in the meantime, behind our hand, we're going, come on, come on. No, no, no. Come on, come on, come on, more. No, no, no. Pick up the prescription. Rachel and I have interesting times because we have these talk. I don't sleep long anymore. And so I'm up and we balance each other off. And because we have a fairly big house, we've discovered it's really easy to scare the heck out of each other. You know, because if one of you is up and the other comes around the corner. So we chicken talk. When we get up and we don't know where the other person is, we'll go, "Bawk, bawk, 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 bawk." And that way we know. And we have these wonderful talks at night. And we've discovered that one of the things we're always talking about is the fact that it's so easy to slip into that ego side and be reactive about everything, or slip into that centered side. It's that balance when you slow down. As you know, I played tennis a lot. I taught tennis. And it's very interesting because if you watch any of the greats, anytime they'll hit a forehand or a backhand, if you stop the camera, you will see that they are balanced in terms of they have a foundation in terms of how they're standing to hit the stroke. Even if they're a little off, if they aren't balanced, they will hit the ball out. And a lot of times they'll slow it down to show you that. It is that balance that we are needed. In Matthew 5:16, Jesus said, "Let your light shine before others." Whether you're an introvert, extrovert, shy, planted, it's a life journey. And when we forget and we remember and we forget and we remember, the biggest thing that I share is we have this habit of throwing in one more part. So it's kind of like we forget who we are, and then we remember, and then we beat ourselves up for having forgotten. And then we forget. In shining our light, we need to let go of the beating ourselves up, because it is the flow of spirit. The divine protocol for shining our light is that process. Boy, I need to hear this. And so I'm going to close with something we all know. It's been around for a while. It's been attributed to other people. But one of the people I love, and I've had a chance through the years to spend some time with her, some workshops and things, and a couple Course in Miracles programs where she just spent the day with us, is Marianne Williamson. She has a habit of doing two things that I think are really interesting. Now, you need to remember her mother was a psychiatrist. It's an intense family. And Marianne Williamson has this ability to take these really, really complex issues and in 4 and 5 sentences, make them so clear, you just sit and go, well, why didn't I think of that? The second part of it is she makes the issues so clear that you know you can change the world and change them. So that when you finish one of her things, it's much like Newt Rockne, the coach of Notre Dame, when he gave a pep talk back in the 1920s to the Notre Dame football team and got them so excited, he said, now go out there and beat them. And the entire team ran out the door into the swimming pool because it was the wrong door. But they were all excited. He had gotten them going, and Marianne Williamson does the same thing. She wrote a book called A Return to Love. In it, she wrote Our Deepest Fear, and I'm going to read it. I want you just to all take a breath, because this is going to be kind of like us moving into our meditation. There will be no, when we finish this, we're right in the midst of the meditation. Okay? This was so profound that Nelson Mandela used it in his inauguration speech. And they first thought that he had written it. So I ask you just to take a breath and settle in full presence where you are. Just letting the noise of the surroundings be with you. Know that it's all part of the process. And that this was written just for you. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. Powerful beyond measure in our light, not our darkness. This is what most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, the question is, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We're all meant to shine, as children do. We're all meant and born to be manifest, to shine the glory of God that is within us. And it's not just in some of us. It's in every one of us. And as we let our light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same thing. As we're liberated from our fears, our presence automatically liberates others. We let our light shine. And so I ask that you take a deep breath and allow yourself to drift deeper within that wondrous place that is you. And as each breath settles you deeper, that divine identity that is you is awake and is aware. It is the natural flow of who you are. Take a breath and let that just expand into every nook and corner of your inner world. This is the amazing light you are. What if, in truth, a near-death experience is filled with light because, in truth, you are transitioning and letting go of the human side, and the divine you are is shining so bright. And as you take another breath, we settle into the gratitude that it is so simplistic. We need do nothing but be who we are. We open our hearts to that brightness that is us. It is part of us that helps recognize the brightness in other people. It is that moment in time when your eyes touch another's. And in that shining, you see each other. See the light you are. With each breath, with each journey, with each step. Take this day and the coming days, and each day, let that light reflect back at you. The light you see in a newborn, or the soft, gentle wind, is only your light being reflected back. So we take one more breath, and as we do so, we open our hearts and know in truth, our prescription is ready to pick up. The pharmacist has filled our order, the divine pharmacist. It is within us. We only need to pick it up. And we know that's the truth because we heard it on Zoom over and over again. And so it is, and so it is. Blessed be, Barbara.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dave. A deep breath, and I am breath. Loved it. So, Bill, you're older than me now, aren't you, today? It's his birthday, which I had meant to mention before, but this is fine. You are now older than I am. I don't know if we want to share that or not. I like it.
It's great. Actually, I had a big celebration about a week ago when everybody was in town. And so
Yay, yay.
Dan baked a cake and it was a wonderful time with friends.
Well, we have somebody else who's celebrating. Well, she's going to celebrate her birthday next Sunday at church, although it's not until December the 4th. But still, not knowing her schedule, since she is going to be making that long trip down south. So I'm talking about Pat, her special going away party. If you're able to join us, of course, we would love to have you there because we're planning to share experiences that we've had with Pat and just enjoy the time. And it's a potluck, and you want to participate, it would be terrific. Patricia has talked that she had planned just what there is there to be thankful for will be available on YouTube next Sunday. So come to church and then watch your YouTube. You get everything. The following, on the 27th, a Zoom service at 10:30. Just receive life as a gift. Actually, I'm just gonna open it up at 10:30. It's, after, it's part of the Thanksgiving holidays. I don't know. We'll just talk, chat, and whatever, or not. Doesn't matter. Anyway, there will be a Zoom service on the 27th. So those are the announcements. Well, as we were talking before the service started, your all of your donations are so appreciated. You put it together and it allows us to do what we're doing. So thank you, thank you. Mail to Unity, P.O. Box 755, Lower Lake 95457. Now, what we were doing, well, gosh, oh, here it is. Okay, so as we move forward, and Bill will be singing the peace song at the end before our chat, but I want us just to imagine the circle, your concerns, if you were at church, that you would put into the circle. Think about this as we say the prayer for protection for your concerns. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is. Because I am, all is wonderful. And Bill is going to sing the peace song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let me walk with my family in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be thy joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin